Okay, we are live on Easter Sunday. So we'll see how many people show up because I should have assumed, I guess I should have checked that, but some people celebrate, some people don't, some people have plans, some people don't. So we'll just be here for the people who are available. My favorite thing about Easter is I was always so confused about like why does a bunny have eggs? Like an Easter bunny? Like what, like chickens have eggs, birds have eggs, but like bunnies have bunnies. So like what is the association with like Easter and eggs and bunnies? And I finally figured it out a couple years ago that it's named after a 14th century goddess in Germany, pagan goddess, obviously. And her name is Eostra. And she was a pagan goddess of fertility and eggs, of course, for fertility, but also bunnies because they are fertility symbols because they procreate so much. Hi, Katie. So that's why Easter bunnies have eggs because they're all, and that's why it's in the spring because it's all fertility rites for this pagan goddess named Eostra. And that's why they call it Easter because it's like anglicized Eostra. And Katie, how was your week? I'm just explaining how I figured out what Easter means. Katie says I didn't know that, but I love it. Yeah, because like, why does an Easter bunny have eggs? Like bunnies and eggs, that makes no sense. They're like, that's not a thing. And yeah, and so it's all like fertility symbols because it's spring, the beginning of the spring, and like, and that's why there's so much grass too. Like Easter bunnies have the basket with all the grass in it because the this goddess would be like, because once the grass is green, like that's starting the spring fertility season and everything. And you can just take like everything about Easter and it like dates back to this like 14th century German goddess that got brought over by like German immigrants. So it's just and yeah, as a kid it just never made sense to me. And then you throw Jesus in the mix and I'm like, I really have no idea what's going on. What is the, and I thought the Easter bunny was like at the crucifixion or something, and that they were like giving Jesus eggs on the cross. Like I'm like, how do these things connect? Like they must connect because everybody's talking about like Good Friday and everybody's talking about the Easter bunny, and like where do these lines like intersect? So yeah, they don't really. Katie, how was your week? How's your Easter Sunday going? Oh, oh my God, I forgot my Easter thing I was gonna do for today. 1 second. Okay. Now it's Easter. Oh, my ears are so big they don't even fit in this. Oh wow, they're so big. Okay. Now you can't even see me. I got these yesterday because I was in the grocery store and this like big old black guy walked by with a bunny, bald guy with a bunny headband, bunny ears headband. And I was like, I didn't know we were allowed to do that. So I immediately went out and got the next one I could find. So yeah, this is your Easter stream. Hi Cheryl. Cheryl's here. Hi Wade. Happy Easter, everybody, if you celebrate. Katie said, Easter Sunday is going well. I went back to the gym for the first time in months. I'm tired of being physically weak. Oh man, I hear ya. I went back to the gym this week too for the first time in months. Twinsies. How did it go? Mine was pretty good. I made it 3 times. Cheryl says, "Why don't you use Zoom for your calls?" I do use Zoom for my calls. I use Zoom for all my calls, except this is not a call. This is a YouTube live. Hi, David. David's here. Happy Easter, everyone, says David. Happy Easter. Cheryl, why don't you use Zoom for your calls? This is not a call. This is a YouTube live, but I use Zoom for everything. I use Zoom for all my client calls, all my group calls. Yeah, this is just like, this is not a call, but it's like a, well, it's a YouTube live. It's like a hangout, like a digital hangout. Unless you're referring to something else, Cheryl, in which case please explain and I will answer. Katie says it went well at the gym. I loved the video of you walking. It made my heart so happy. Yay! Yes, I took that for Wade. Wade, did you see my walking video? I kept waiting to take one until it was a nice day out and I could like show me walking outside. But it's April in Nova Scotia, so there are no nice days out. So I just ended up doing it in the gym at the end of everything. But yeah, I'm almost 18 weeks out and I walk with a limp and like it's not easy to walk, but I am walking. So just to not need the mobility devices, honestly, like my knee scooter, crutches, a cane, like to just not have to use uh something to like help me move around is such a lifestyle upgrade. I'm so happy. David, how are you doing? How's your week? How have you been since we talked last week? I'm so excited to hear. Cuz last week you were struggling and we were chatting a lot about that. And Cheryl, how are you? What's new with you? Did you ever look into that migraine thing, Cheryl? The whatever the medical word was that we talked about? And Wade, how's your week going? How's spring? I bet you there's crazy spring where Wade is. I bet you it's like, I bet you the leaves are on the trees and the grass is green and um Cheryl says, but you could use Zoom for this. I hate typing. Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a YouTube live, Cheryl. Then it would be a Zoom call and then only people, like that's what I do with my groups. If you want to come to my groups, you can come on I don't even know if I have your email, Cheryl. But if I use Zoom for this, then it's not a YouTube live. Like not just anyone could drop in. Like if I use Zoom, then it's like a closed group. But you're more than welcome to come to my Zoom groups. Do you want to put your email in, Cheryl? Or I'll put my email in and you can email me. Yeah, I know you hate typing though. Yeah, this is not really, I mean, this is not as good for me either because I can't see anybody and I can't hear anybody's voice and I'm just like waiting for the words to show up in the chat. So like this is not my preferred method of communication either, Cheryl. I feel you on that. But it's like it's free and it's meant to be like uh accessible, I guess. Whereas if you if you're doing Zoom calls, then that's like part of my like my clients and my group programs and stuff. So yeah. You know what you could do, Cheryl? You could do voice typing. Like you just hit the microphone button on your keyboard on your phone or on actually I don't know if you can do it on a laptop. And then you just dictate with your voice and then it types it for you. I hardly ever type myself anymore. I'm always I'm talking into my phone to get it to write it out for me. Okay, David says, I'm great, thank you. So well done with your walk to victory, Helmi. I was a walk to victory. Love the ears. You're looking beautiful as ever. Thank you, David. I had a great Easter Sunday, and my little grandson, Albie, visited today. How old is your grandson? I didn't know you had grandkids, David. That's awesome. I'm glad you are feeling better, David. That is such a relief. And that you had a great Easter Sunday. Albie is such a cute name. Is it short for Albert or is it some other thing? There's every time I see the name Albie, there's this comedy duo called Flight of the Conchords. They're a New Zealand like music comedy duo, and they have a song called Albie, and it's called Albie, the Racist Dragon. And it's like a story of a dragon who's really racist and this little Albanian boy who is trying to get the dragon to be less racist. And now anytime I see the the name Albie, I just hear the song in my head. Albie, the racist dragon. And my neighbor's kid's name is Albie, and every time I'm like, "Hi, Albie," and then the song plays in my head, and I'm like, I could never tell them that. I could never say it out loud, because no parent wants to think of their child as a racist dragon. So yeah, that's a side note, David. That's just a little fun thing with names. Yeah, so Cheryl, email me if you want to get in on a real Zoom call, because I agree this is not as good. But that's why you guys got to put stuff in the chat, because then otherwise I'm like wearing my bunny ears talking to myself. David says my first grandson, and he's 6 months old. A baby angel. That is so cute. David says, LOL, I will think of that song every time I see him. My God, can you screen share on this? Can we like play the song? I don't know if YouTube would let us do that. Susan's not on here, so we have no way of figuring out the technology. I wonder if I played the song on my phone, then maybe the audio would pick up. I don't know. Do you guys want to hear the song even? Maybe you don't even want to hear it. It's so funny. Katie says, Helmi's classes on Zoom are amazing, literally life-changing. Aw, thank you, Katie. They're pretty life-changing for me too, actually. Like I finish every call being like, wow, I did not know that was gonna happen. Yeah, and Katie is like the team lead on the calls. She's like Katie starts talking and everyone like waiting to hear so they can like cheer her on. Okay, I'm gonna see if this works. If it doesn't work. Can you guys hear that?
marmalade forest between the make-believe trees. In a cottage cheese cottage lives Albie. Albie, 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 the racist dragon. Part 6. And so, all of the villagers chased Albie, the racist dragon, into a very cold, very scary cave. And it was so cold and so scary in there that Albie began to cry. Dragon tears. Which, as we all know, turn into jelly beans. Anyway, at that moment, he felt a tiny little hand rest upon his tail, and he turned around, and who should that little hand belong to but the badly burnt Albanian boy from the day before? What are you doing here? I thought I killed you yesterday, grumbled Albie quite racistly. No, Albie, you didn't kill me with your dragon flames. I crawled to safety. But you did leave me very badly disfigured, laughed the boy. Why are you crying so? I'm crying because all of those horrible villagers chased me into the scary cave. I think it's because I'm so racist. Get your hand off my tail, you'll make it dirty. No, Albie, it's not because of your racism that they chased you here. They chased me here too when I became all disfigured like this. They just don't like you and I. Because, well, because we're different to them. And that made Albie cry a single tear, which turned into a jelly bean, all the colors of the rainbow. And suddenly, he wasn't racist anymore. So they sat in the cave and ate bubblegum pie. Yum! Albie, the racist. Well, not anymore.
So that's what I think of whenever I hear the name Albie. David says, so funny. I'm guessing it wouldn't be a very good idea for a lullaby for Albie at bedtime. I don't think so. I don't think it's appropriate, but you did leave me very badly disfigured, laughed the boy. Katie says, what a heartwarming story. Exactly. And I love that it's part 6. The badly burnt Albanian boy from the day before. It's like, what happened in the first 5 parts? And he lives in a cottage cheese cottage. So it's just there's so much imagery. It's a rich tapestry. Yeah, so they have a ton of like songs that are hilarious, that are like meant as a comedy thing. If they're from like, I don't know, 2010, 2009, like this is 2007, I think. This is going back a ways. But yeah, it's anyway, that's like not to do with anything. Just felt like sharing. So yeah, how's everybody's Eostra going? How, any fertility rituals, any egg hunts? I almost bought, this is ears, but I almost bought the little bunny tail. And then I was like, well, I'm wearing a winter coat, so it was just so, the weather is so miserable. It's so cold and windy and rainy, and so my ears were like blowing everywhere, and I was like trying to get out of the store, having to like hold them on because I wasn't willing to take them off. Then I got in the car and I couldn't fit in the car because they're that tall. So, But I just saw a guy in a grocery store with sparkly pink and blue bunny ears on, and I was like, I didn't know we were allowed to do that. If we are allowed to do that, I'm going out and doing that right now. Uh David said I found my Easter bunny tonight. So yeah, what do we got going on, guys? How are we feeling? What's new? Um it was my birthday on Thursday. That's what's new with me. Which was very exciting. I put a baby picture up on on YouTube in celebration. Um yeah, so that was a big deal. 42. The 1984 crowd is coming in strong this year. And I didn't even realize that I was turning 42 on 4/2, like April 2nd. So that was a big deal too. That was fun. Um yeah, so what did I do? I went out to dinner, had a steak, put on a pretty dress, put on some sparkles. Um, was the only person in the restaurant wearing sparkles and a dress. Like other people were there in like hoodies. But I wanted to dress up for my birthday. So yeah, so that was great. David says, Happy birthday, Helmi. Glad you had a good day. What kind of steak? That's the most important question. It was uh the one on the bone, rib something. Um the one with like the big fat cap that's on the bone. I I don't know the name because I always buy like the cheap thing, and that was the most expensive thing on the menu. And I was like, yeah, I'm going all out. And then tonight I had a ribeye, which was fabulous. Yeah, maybe T-bone. It wasn't didn't say T-bone on the menu. Like I would have remembered that, but um yeah, it was wonderful. It was like thick and perfectly cooked, crust on it, all the flavor. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, ribeye is amazing. I used to always get bacon wrap filet mignon, which is like a super lean, it's like the tenderloin. And then because I just thought, oh, fat is bad. Like that's what I thought. And so then it wasn't until like a couple years ago that somebody was like, you're going to want to try a steak with like marbling and like fat in it. And I was like, ew, I hate that. Cause I was always thinking of like, when you're like eating a roast beef and you get it to that piece of fat and you have to spit it out. That's what I thought it was. I didn't understand that like a properly cooked steak, the fat like is like butter in your mouth, like it's all rendered. So anyway, like a year ago, I switched to yeah, with ribeye, the fat melts away. Hi, Anthony. Welcome in. Anthony says, Happy birthday, Helmi. Thank you, Anthony. I got these bunny ears partially for my birthday, partially for Easter. It all happened at the same time. Um so yeah, and then I switched over and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm never getting filet mignon again." Like the taste of like the grilled steak that has like the fat on it is incredible. So now it's a problem because now I want to eat steak all the time. So when it was filet mignon, I was like, yeah, it's lovely, but I don't like crave it all the time. But now I'm like, oh, ribeye. What do I have to do to get more ribeye in my life? Anthony, how was your week? How's Ontario going with spring? Flu season's got to be over by now, right? Hope your paramedicing is going well. Um You missed our musical number, Anthony. We did a little sing along to a comedy. It's basically a comedy routine, I guess. Um, yeah, and I'm impressed that we figured it out without Susan. Even though it was like me holding my phone up to the to the to the screen, but it still worked as long as it works. So yeah, it was a great birthday. I did not have a cake, but I had a slice of homemade score ice cream cake from the restaurant. And they gave it to me for free because it was my birthday and it came with a candle on it. And then they sang the song, and I was super excited. David says, I'll be the musical live from Helmi Hope. Yeah, I was just lip syncing. Anthony says, flu season is kind of over. 20 degrees? It was 20 degrees in Ontario. Oh man, it's like 4 degrees here. It's very, very cold and miserable and windy. 20, that's like American 75. That's that's a lot. Oh my God. That's t-shirt weather, man. You guys are already in t-shirt weather? Ugh. That's the only thing I miss about Ontario is that they actually get spring. Nova Scotia spring lasts like 3 days. And then it goes right to summer. Okay, so Anthony, does 20 degrees, like the first warm days, does that mean there's more paramedicing to do or less? Oh, it broke a temp record, 5 degrees the next day. Oh, okay, so it was just like a spike. I heard the US had a crazy heat wave, like an actual heat wave. It's like 40 degrees Celsius. Like were using air conditioners and stuff. Just this is just wild. Nova Scotia weather has been like entirely normal. Like I don't know what's going on with the US, but like everything here has been textbook. So um I don't know, somehow we're missing all this warm weather. And I'm excited for the warm weather. It's supposed to be 10 tomorrow and I'm going to go for a walk outside. However far I can get. The only problem is now that I have to pace out how far I'm walking and then how far I'm going to walk back because if I get stuck, I'm going to have to like ask someone for a piggyback ride or something. David says, we had Storm Dave in the UK yesterday. Do you name all your storms in Canada? We name a fair few. We name like the big ones, the big, like, we name all the hurricanes for sure. Nova Scotia gets some hurricanes. And we name some, do we name storms? Not really. It's hurricanes. Anthony, do we name anything other than hurricanes? I don't think so. Katie says Mother Nature is angry with the US. She's not the only one. Um yeah, it's concerning. Katie, is it normal weather now where you are, or is it still like crazy hot? Anthony says take a flight over to Ontario. Yes, that is tempting. Like once it's summer here, Nova Scotia is like the best place in Canada to be. But getting to summer, it's a hard slog. And it's so funny here because in Ontario, people go on vacation in the summer, right? But in Nova Scotia, everybody stays here. This is the place people go for summer vacation. So like we wait all year for it to be like May is pretty good, but like June, July, August, September, even like halfway into October is just like incredibly beautiful. And then you spend the rest of the year being like, one day it's going to be nice out again. One day it's going to be June and you're going to be happy you're in Nova Scotia. Katie says normal weather this weekend. Okay. Okay. You're or like Yeah, time of year appropriate weather. That's good. That's good. David, how did you fare in the storm? Did you have to work? Was it really rainy? I mean, UK, you guys don't really get snowstorms, right? It's like a rainstorm. Um, that's my understanding. Anthony says Canadian storms have the same names as the US because they continue up the East Coast. Yeah, but like I thought that was more hurricanes that we name more than like a storm. Um, yeah, they just keep going. It was a shock leaving Ontario and and coming to Nova Scotia and getting used to hurricanes. Uh, and it's so crazy because it's just like from like November on, you're just like you don't want to like get on a plane. You don't want to book anything. Um, and I think I've done two major hurricanes since I moved here. Is it two? Well, two major ones in like the last 6 years. And the last one, the power was out for 5 days. It was a lot. David says, yes, I was working. It was just very windy. I can cope with that. Just the rain that really upsets me. Yeah. Because you're still on your excavator with no, like just out in the elements. That's terrible. Um, yeah, David, have you thought about like other things to do other than work for that guy who's really mean to you? Have you thought of like any other ideas for what you could do? I'm sure the crew on here would be happy to brainstorm. That's all we did last week was just trying to convince David that he deserves better than a boss who's like really mean and rude to him all the time. You got to take lessons from Katie on how to handle your boss. How about you, Anthony? Do you have a boss that's do paramedics have bosses? Is there like a head paramedic? Who do you report to? Is it like you don't really work for hospitals? Anthony says yes. Anthony says I have 100 voices. Well, that's rough. Who's in charge of paramedics? Like what's I don't even know who paramedics report to. I guess you have like the person driving is probably like the senior paramedic. David says, yes, I've been thinking of lots of jobs that I could do. I think working for a big company, harassment isn't allowed. Yeah, exactly. Like you go to HR or like they just, it's not an efficient way to run a business, right? So like nobody else is doing that. I mean, not that it doesn't happen, but it's it's not good for retention, right? Employee retention is one of the most expensive problems that a business can have if they're constantly have a high turnover and like employees are quitting and then they have to hire new ones and train new ones and onboard new ones and then they're unhappy and they quit. Like it's so expensive for companies to cycle through people like that they're invested, they have like money reasons of why they want to keep people working there for a significant amount of time and like keep them happy. Yeah, so definitely you could look at big companies and you could be like a subcontractor to them, um like that you show up with your skills and they give you equipment or you show up with your equipment and they put you to work or they tell you, "Oh, we need like this job done." Like you bid on the job and say, "Oh, I could get it done for this much in this amount of time." Or you could just work directly for them and be like their in-house excavator, like whenever they need that done or landscaping or whatever. Um, yeah. There's lots of jobs you could do. What do you want to do? Like what would make you like excited to feel excited to get out of bed in the morning, you know? That's the exciting question. Like, Anthony, what made you want to be a paramedic? Anthony says we take turns driving. Both paramedics and vehicles have the same certifications. We're paid half by province and half by municipality. So you don't have a boss, Anthony? So there's no senior paramedic. Like you all have the same stuff. So then like who like do paramedics like report to anyone or no? Like they don't have like they're just their own little crew? That'd be fun if you didn't have a boss at all. That's great. Um, yeah, I'm curious, like what careers did we do and how did we get into them? Because if we're gonna try and get David out of his and into something better, then like maybe he'll be inspired by our stories. Anthony says we have supervisors and a chief. Okay, so you do report to somebody. Well, I hope your supervisor is nice to you, Anthony. Um, so yeah, Anthony, what made you decide to be a paramedic? I still think about the girl in my class in grade 4. Her dad was a paramedic, and we all were convinced he was a doctor because it was like a super working class town, and nobody's parents had like gone to secondary education, post-secondary. Like all of our parents, like if they finished high school, that was pretty good. Like they either didn't finish high school or they finished high school and that was it. So the idea of somebody whose dad went to go to post-secondary was like, wow. And he was a paramedic, and we were like, he could save your life. He's like a doctor. Like he could have had like he could have been a neurosurgeon or a paramedic. Like it would have been the same. Like we were just totally in awe of this guy. Um and and that's the first time that I'd ever heard of anybody like getting more education than just high school. And then I considered becoming a paramedic and then immediately disqualified myself for like 9 valid reasons. David says, I wanted to be a professional percussionist when I was younger. Wish I had stuck at it. Oh, I didn't know you played drums, David. That's awesome. You could still play on the side. Um, it is a hard living. You'd have so much hearing damage, David, if you did it. David says, I have every respect for paramedics. They're amazing. Oh my God. They are like when I was lying on the gym floor with my leg extraordinarily broken, I was thinking back to every era in history that didn't have paramedics. And I was like, what would you do? Like, if there's no one to call who's going to come, like, rescue you, basically, they're like professional rescuers and like do everything right so that you don't hurt yourself worse. Like, I was like, what are my options? Like, if they just never come, like, what are my options? You know, put me in the back seat of somebody's car. Like, I would be that would have been awful. Like, paramedics are incredible. Uh, Katie says, if I were to have a do-over in life, I would be a nurse. Interesting. What kind of nurse, Katie? Nurses, I seriously considered being a nurse because I like helping people. And then I found out what they actually do and how much they have to know. And like the doctors apparently like don't know how to put in the IV, and the doctors like don't know all the contraindications of all the medications, and they like the nurses are the ones doing like, you know, all the primary care and like the patient facing stuff. And I was just like, okay, I that's way more science than I was expecting to need. What kind of nurse would you be, Katie, if you started over? uh I could see you being good in pediatrics. Anthony says, I enjoy helping people in distress. I like the medical field. Every day is different because, yeah, there's different calls every day. I get to work outside and meet a lot of people. That's why I became a paramedic. Wow. Okay. That's true. It is a very diverse um, kind of job. Like you never have the same day twice as a paramedic, I would imagine. Um, Yeah, but Anthony, a lot of people like helping people and the medical field and want variety, get to work outside, whatever. But the thing that paramedics need that makes them like good at their job or not is quite a tough stomach. Like they cannot be getting to the scene and then like, you know, freaking out themselves. Like I don't understand how paramedics like don't have like a visceral reaction to like coming on the scene of something terrible, you know? Like it's and a lot of people who want to be paramedics, like people who want to be doctors, and then they're like, "Oh, but I can't stand the sight of blood." And it's like, "Well, then I guess you got to find another career." Um Katie says, I'm not sure what kind of nurse. Labor and delivery fascinates me, but I would want to work with geriatric people. Ah, that's cool. Yeah, I have a friend who's a practical nurse in a long-term care facility, and she's on the dementia ward, the floor, the for dementia. And she said that it is the most fun like anyone has ever had. Like she's like you put on like they have like costumes and like sparkly like hats and outfits, and they walk in and then the person's like, "Are you my long lost neighbor Becky from, you know, the Midway?" And they're like, "I absolutely am. It's so good to see you again." And they like just she's like it's just improv constantly, like they give you the scenario and then you go with it and you're like, I am in fact whoever you think I am, and I am excited to like let's go talk about it while we give you your shower or while I like feed you lunch or whatever. And she just has a ball with the dementia ward. She said it's so fun. And some of her clients are like 100 years old, and like it's just every day. It's just whatever it is. David said, my daughter called me one night crying for help. Her mother had fallen and had broken her fibia and tibia and also dislocated her ankle. Oh my God, that is terrible. Um, Now that I know what that feels like, I can say with some certainty that's terrible and also very scary for your daughter. David said it took 8 hours for the ambulance to come, and the hospital was a mile away. Oh my God, it took mine 45 minutes, and I thought that was a long time. 8 hours? Oh my God, she would have passed out from the pain. She would have been in agony. 8 hours. At that point, you just want to like have somebody put you in the back of a car and drive you there. Like, that's David says the NHS in the UK is really struggling. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard the NHS can be like rough. Canada is not that bad yet. Katie says she sounds like an amazing nurse. She is. She just like she's so entertained by it. She has so much fun. She's like, "Oh, the nursing part is like, oh, okay, I got to give them an IV, or I got to like clean this wound, or I got to like, you know, get them their medication or whatever." But she's like, it's just the excuse of why she gets to hang out with them. Anthony says also need courage, great driving skills, be strong to lift, make quick assessments and decisions. Very rewarding career if you can handle the stress. Yeah, like you would need to be so to be a paramedic, like on the fly, like create a solution. Like you would have to be so clever and like ready to assess the what needs doing and then like find a way to make it happen. Like how are you going to get the person out of the car or um David said, I know, yeah, I was told not to move her. Yeah, and that they say that because she could get hurt worse, right? And that's why they say not to do that, and they're right. Oh my god, like I would have been screaming if somebody had put me in the back of a car with that injury and then driven along, like I would have been screaming the entire time and it probably would have done more damage and then it would have been a worse surgery. But it's just 8 hours. I mean, like that's insane. Like what if it was a heart attack or something? Like she just would people just die then? Like if nobody's coming in 8 hours, like you could bleed out or whatever your problem was, like 8 hours is enough time for it to get a lot worse. That's terrible. David, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for your daughter too and your that oh that sounds terrible for everyone. Um okay, I hope the NHS gets better cuz that's scary. Um yeah, you would need great driving skills, wouldn't you? Anthony, do they train you on the driving skills? Do they like do you have to take like an obstacle course, like a driver's course for that, or do they just like drive between? Uh Anthony says heart attacks have a higher priority than a possible fracture. Yeah, but at 8 hours, if it's higher priority, they get there in like 4 hours. Like it's just still enough time for it to go real bad. Like if you're waiting that long at all. David says, yeah, they put people on a priority list. Yeah, they triage it. But like that's an overextended like ambulance force at that point if it's that long. Um because yeah, I waited 45 minutes and I was starting to be like I was actually starting to go into shock at 45 minutes. So like when they walked in, I have never been happier to see anyone in my entire life. I was like, they're here. It's going to be okay. Like you have this moment when you're lying there and you're in that much pain and the injury is that severe. You have this moment of like what if they don't come? And like what's going to happen to me, you know? Um so yeah, like paramedics, man, nurses, paramedics. Okay, so David was going to be a percussionist, Katie was going to be a nurse, Anthony was always going to be a paramedic. Um who else do we have in here? Is let me go back up here. Oh, Cheryl. Cheryl. Hey, Cheryl, are you still in here? Did you have a career or like how you chose that career or the career that you would have wanted to be in? I always wanted to be a teacher. Actually, in high school, I wanted to be a professional gymnastics coach. That's what I was really excited to do. And then I realized that you're always working nights and weekends and you have no life. So then I was like, okay, I want to be a teacher then. And then and then I became a teacher and I worked nights and weekends and had no life. So Anthony says they should get there in less than 15 minutes if it's in a city, much longer in a rural setting. Yes, we train for EMS driving. Yeah, and my night, they got there in 45 minutes instead of 15 because it was like a bad night, I guess. Like they had like a ton of calls at that time. Um Yeah, so David, like they should have got there in 15 minutes in a city. Like that's crazy. Um and okay, yes, you do get trained for EMS driving, Anthony. Um oh, 15 minutes for a heart attack or anaphylaxis or a large bleed. Okay, all right, that makes me feel better. That makes me feel better. 15 minutes. I feel like you could solve a problem in 15 minutes. Um oh yeah, anaphylaxis. I used to have to carry an EpiPen around for that. That was so annoying. Um, alrighty. Yeah, if I had to start over now, what would I be? Cheryl says, I always wanted to be a farmer. Really? That's cool. What kind of farmer? Like like a family farm where you like grow all your own stuff, or like a like a big huge like industrial farm, or like a dairy farmer. They call them dairy farmers even though it's cows. I don't know why. They grow cows. What appealed to you about being a farmer, Cheryl? I mean, that's like Anthony, you're outside, probably having the same day quite a few times. Although I have watched some YouTube videos of people who have farms with animals on them. And it's like wild the stuff that the animals get into. Like there was one where it was like buy a farm, they said, you'll love it, they said. And it was a bull walking with the whole feed thing like wrapped around his neck. And he was so powerful and strong that he was just walking, carrying it and just dragging it along. And eventually they had to like shoot him with a trank gun to get it off because he was just like wandering off with like the building architecture. David says, if I was in Canada, I would be a lumberjack, I guess. I've never heard of a Canadian lumberjack. I know that's a stereotype, but I've never met one. Unfortunately, I have vertigo, which wouldn't look good on my CV. Vertigo, so you get dizzy or you lose your balance or both. What is vertigo exactly? I'm going to look it up. What is vertigo? But yeah, so they don't really have, I mean, I guess they have lumberjacks. But your David's like impression of Canada is like lumberjacks and bears and like polar ice caps. Like it's very northern Canada. Oh, vertigo is a symptom, not a condition. It's the feeling that you or the environment around you is moving or spinning. Jeepers. Uh what's it a symptom of? What's yours a symptom of, David? What is the main reason for vertigo? Makes you feel like you're spinning when you're not. Most commonly occurs when there's an issue with your inner ear. I used to get that when I would get up too quickly. The whole room would spin and I'd like fall back down. Cheryl says a family. Oh, Cheryl's thought this through. Okay, let's see what Cheryl's come up with. Cheryl says a family farm with 200 beef cattle, corn, wheat, and hay for crops. Cheryl, that is so specific. Have you been thinking about this? What's the rationale? Like corn, wheat. I mean, hay is to feed the cows, I assume. Like what like walk us through this. I'm fascinated. You had this locked and loaded. I thought you were going to be like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe I like cows." But no, you've got like numbers and that they're beef cows, not dairy. I thought dairy cows were fun until I realized how they get milk from cows. They take away the babies. I did not connect those dots. until very recently. Um, David says, I thought vertigo was being afraid of heights. Oh, so you're using it as a way to say you're scared of heights? Oh, so when you get up high, you feel like everything's spinning? Okay, so maybe it's a symptom of being afraid of heights. Anthony says vertigo can also be caused by low blood pressure or low blood sugar. Oh, I used to have both of those very low all the time. Okay, so Anthony doesn't like height, or David doesn't like heights. They're really I've never met or heard of a Canadian lumberjack. I really don't think that's like the career, the thriving career here that you think it is. David says we would all be okay for steaks. Oh my god, the ribeyes on all those beef. That's what we're both thinking, David. She said 200 beef cattle, and David and I were both like, "That's a lot of steak. That's a lot of beef." Cheryl, I'm fascinated. Like, how did you come up with this? And like, where would you do that? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna like retire from whatever your job is now and like that wouldn't be much of a retirement though. That would be a lot of work. Farmers never get a day off. They don't get weekends. Um yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, I don't really know that much about beef cattle for how much I love steak. I don't I don't know that much about it. Um you don't have to kill them yourself, do you? And do beef cattle like live in a herd and like wander about? Like they're not like dairy cows like living in stalls in a barn, right? They like live in a pack, I think. Let's look it up. Um David, pick a UK based career other than percussion. Dairy, no. Beef, cattle, 200 head. She even used the right I know that because of watching Yellowstone. They call it like head of cattle. Uh yeah, they like live in a group. Oh, Cheryl says I grew up on a farm. Wasn't allowed to inherit because I'm a girl. What? So you had to leave the farm? David says I just want to get out of the building trade. Okay, well there's lots of stuff you can do. Um Cheryl, that is so unfair. That is ridiculous. That is laughable. A woman would run a farm much better than I'm assuming your brother inherited it. Um, I think you would have been fabulous. So you are like sitting there watching your brother run it this whole time, being like, I could do it. I'm sure you could do it better. That is not fair. What a dumb reason. Why would you not want a girl to be running a farm? Like, we would be so good at that. Yeah, David is saying, "Oh, Cheryl, that's terrible. It is terrible, but that's an injustice. I don't like that at all." So Cheryl, would you ever like do it now? I mean, that would be a lot of work, but maybe it would make you happy. All right. Well, David, just keep looking like think about what you can do that isn't just the the trades because you have like skills with organizing, project management, right? Like assessment, like leadership, all kinds of things, you know. And keep in mind, David, that in a lot of cases they're going to train you. The main thing that they need from their employees is that they're reliable and hardworking and like, you know, agreeable. Like anybody will tell you, I would rather hire somebody who is honest and hardworking and shows up, and then I'll train them. I'll teach them everything they need to know to be able to um do the job, but they struggle with people who, like, they hire them and then they don't show up and they don't, you know, they don't want to do anything. So David, don't think like, oh, I don't have a degree in that, or I don't have like years of experience in that. Like there's a lot of careers you could get into if you're just like, I'm here, I have a good attitude and I'm ready to learn. You know, like show me how to do this. Cheryl says they have pastures to roam. Yeah, they run about. They don't. And my brother has got the farm. Yeah. Well, ugh, I don't like that, Cheryl. I don't like that at all. Ooh, is that where you be like a cowgirl, right? You'd be like up, like if they're roaming their pastures, you got to go collect them. You do it on horseback, right? I've seen Yellowstone. um David says, I will, Helmi. Thank you. I do listen and appreciate you very much. Yay. Well, I just want you to be happy, David. And I want you to be at least well treated. You know, like there's lots of places you could go where people are going to be really grateful for you and appreciate you and be like, man, I love working with David. That's awesome. That guy's the best. You know, I want him to be on my team. Right. So don't think that like the skills aren't transferable. Like there's tons of stuff you can get trained for. Okay, well, that is our Easter Sunday stream, folks. Thank you so much for joining us with my I can't, this isn't showing like just how enormous these ears are. Like they're just so big. David said, are there any jobs going on Team Helmi? Not at the moment, but I'll keep you posted. You let me know what your skill set is, and I'll see where I can use you. Okay, so I hope everybody has a great rest of your Easter weekend. Thank you so much for coming by and spending your Sunday night with me. And I'm excited to see everybody next week and you know, look into your dream job a little bit. Like it may not be as far away as you think it is. Like just poke around and see what the options are. Katie says, have a great week. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.